And I just read Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur says that Krishna was born on a Wednesday at midnight. And today is Wednesday, and we're rapidly approaching midnight. I think it would be appropriate to this song, Sri Braja-dama Mahamritam, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan.
Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan.
Sri Govinda Gopinatha Madana Mohan.
Sri Govinda Gopinath Madana Mohan.
Sri Govinda Gopinatha Madana Mohan.
Sri Govinda Gopinath Madana Mohan.
Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan.
Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan.
Kalindi Jamuna Jaya Jaya Mahavan.
Kalindi Jamuna Jaya Jaya Mahavan.
Deshi Gata Bangshi Bata Dvadasa Kanan.
Deshi Gata Bangshi Bata Dvadasa Kanan.
Jaha Sabolila Koilo Sri Nanda Nandan.
Jaha Sabolila Koilo Sri Nanda Nandan.
Sri Nanda Jashoda Jaya Jaya Gopagan.
Sri Nanda Jashoda Jaya Jaya Gopagan.
Sri Damadi Jaya Jaya Denu Vatsagan.
Sri Damadi Jaya Jaya Denu Vatsagan.
Jaya Vrishabhanu Jaya Kirti Dasundari.
Jaya Vrishabhanu Jaya Kirti Dasundari.
Jaya Purnamasi Jaya Abhinagari.
Jaya Purnamasi Jaya
Jaya Jaya Gopeshwara Vrindavana Ma.
Jaya Jaya Gopeshwara Vrindavana Ma.
Jaya Jaya Krishna Saka Batu Dvijaras.
Jaya Jaya Krishna Saka Batu Dvijaras.
Jaya Rama Gata Jaya Rohini Nandan.
Jaya Rama Gata Jaya Rohini Nandan.
Jaya Jaya Vrindavana Basi Jata Jan.
Jaya Jaya Vrindavana Basi Jata Jan.
Jaya Dija Patni Jaya Naga Kanya Gan.
Jaya Dija Patni Jaya Naga Kanya Gan.
Bhakti Teja Hara Pailo Govinda Charan.
Bhakti Teja Hara Pailo Govinda Charan.
Sri Rasa Mandala Jaya Jaya Radha Syam.
Sri Rasa Mandala Jaya Jaya Radha Syam.
Jaya Jaya Rasa Lila Sago Manoram.
Jaya Jaya Rasa Lila Saga Manoram.
Jaya Jaya Ujjala Rasa Sarva Rasa Sar.
Jaya Jaya Jvala Rasa Sava Rasa Sar.
Parakiya Bhave Jaha Brajete Prachar.
Parakiya Bhave Jaha Brajete Prachar.
Sri Janava Pada Padma Koriya Smaran.
Sri Janava Pada Padma Koriya Smaran.
Dino Krishna Dasa Kohe Namo Sankirtan.
Dina Krishna Dasa Kohe Nama Sankirtan.
Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna Jaya Vrindavan.
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 Shri Govinda Gopinatha Madana Mohan.
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 Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaur Hari Bol.
Jai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari
Jai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaur Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Shri Krishna Janmashtami ki jai. Shri Krishna Janmashtami Tithi ki jai. Shri Krishna Janmashtami Avirbhav Mahamahotavati ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Kacharya Satara Sada Shri Srimad Srila Bhakti Sudhir Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki jai. Jai Saparikar Sri Sri Guru Gauranga Gandharva Govinda Sundar Ju ki jai. Shri Giriraj Govardhan ki jai. Sri Rupanuga Guru Varga ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki jai. Just like the song. Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda. And Mathura Dham ki jai. Devaki Nandan ki jai. Vasudev Nandan ki jai. Nanda Nandan Krishna ki jai. Yashoda Nandan ki jai. And of course Rohini Nandan ki jai. Ganga Devi, Jamuna Devi, Bhakti Devi, Tulsi Devi ki jai. Navadip Dham ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat ki jai. Sri Gupta Govardhan ki jai. Om Vishnupad Vishvavarenya Sri Lasi Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Acharya Vrinda ki jai. Jai Srila Bhakti Ranjan Madhusudan Maharaja ki jai. Jai Srila Bhakti Bimal Avadut Maharaj ki jai. Srimad Paramananda Prabhu ki jai. Sri Bhakti Lalita Devi Dasi ki jai. Seva Vrinda ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Krishna Janmashtami Mahamahotavati ki jai. Nitai Go Premanande.
Jai Srila Bhakti Sudhir Goswami Maharaja.
And Srila Guru Maharaj said on this day, once before he joined Sri Gaudiya Math, and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he said, throughout the day the sannyasis were giving lectures and talks. Little did you imagine, Srila Sridhar Maharaj is in the audience. So they don't know, like the most acute hearer, of all time, is in the audience, listening. And Guru Maharaj said, thematically, because he can distill the thematic essence of what is being expressed. He said, thematically, they were saying that Krishna is going to appear in the heart of his devotees. That is how they were representing us. Because we can think, oh, we are assembled here and we shall recount since ancient times how this has been discussed and portrayed, and in the Bhagavatam, and elsewhere. But it also comes to mind, Krishna consciousness is of infinite dimension and perspective. So the words of Saraswati Thakur saying, the pastimes of his Krishna are not a historical occurrence, and neither are they imaginary. I mean, no, I heard Prabhupada say it's a historical. Yeah, that's from one point of view. But lest people be mistakenly lured into thinking this is, 5,000 years ago, 50 centuries before. That's one perspective. And as Guru Maharaj would say in different contexts, Krishna is the supreme hypnotist, and as he's showing that you will see, so there's one point of view. You can say in the relative world, this took place at that time. But when Saraswati Thakur said that, it was jarring. Like he said, it's not a historical occurrence. And then he said, and neither is an imaginary. They say, oh, not a historical occurrence. You mean like mythology? The Krishna myth? He's saying, no, it's not a historical occurrence in that really it's higher reality coming down and manifesting itself in this plane for some time. That's what he means to say. Because he coupled that, and he's Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and of course Bhaktivinoda Thakur, everything to him, Gaura Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj included. So it's a line from Bhaktivinoda, Naitihasa Nikalpanam. Naitihasa means na itiha, not historical, but neither is it imaginary. It's not mythology. Then what is it? You're saying, it's reality. Right? And reality, the supreme reality, when this world vanishes, that reality, right? Not the one that appears to be real for some time and then vanishes, right? Like this world, anityam vasukam lokam. But it's the reality, what remains, when this vanishes, that remains as it is, eternal in all its aspects. But out of his infinite, inconceivable, causeless mercy, Krishna brings the original into this world for some time. That in and of itself is just something extraordinary, and not a replica or a satellite. Either way would be good. But we're told in the Garga Sangita that when Krishna's contemplating this particular avatar, we hear, how many avatars are there? As innumerable as the waves of the ocean. If you've ever sat around and counted ocean waves, you know that's a lot. Innumerable as the waves of the ocean. Constantly, because sometimes we think like, well, why hasn't there been one, recently? Well, I think there was. In the vast span of time, 500 years ago was yesterday. Sometimes devotees of various groups, they get together and they want to talk about the good old days. And sometimes I would just tease them by saying, oh yeah, the good old days were 500 years ago. Right. Those were the good old days. And those good old days happen to be eternal in nature. Prakat, aprakat. We heard Prabhupada say that a long time ago. Prakat means manifest and then unmanifest. But unmanifest doesn't mean nothing. It just means no longer visible here in the most external sense of visibility. Okay? Whereas we hear the great souls, their live stream Leela, they're tuned into that plane, their hearts. So when Guru Maharaj heard those devotees say, he extracted from them, thematically they're saying that Krishna is going to appear in the heart of his devotee. And so Guru Maharaj parked himself outside of the door of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And he said, and with these thoughts in mind, he's there thinking, meditating on this subject. And then some devotee came and said, like, who are you? He said, well, I'm not a member of the Mat, but I heard everyone, they're saying that he'll be appearing in the heart of his devotees, so I'm that person. No, you have to go, you come back later. They're shooing away Srila Guru Maharaj. So what is Krishna consciousness? Right? What Devananda Pandit and Srinivasacharya. Srinivasacharya, Srivas Thakur, and Birambir and Srinivas Acharya. And it's interesting how these pastimes seem to also be cyclical and manifesting in different ways and different times, but similarly themed. But so this point that the Lord appearing in the heart of his devotee, it's such a beautiful thing. And actually, it's the foundation of the modern day Krishna consciousness movement. You can say, Srila Prabhupada, that Krishna conception in his heart, he brought via the Jaladutan to the Western world, and we'll hear more about that tomorrow on his Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada's appearance day, which coincides with Nandotsav. But if we read the Bhagavatam about the appearance of Krishna, we'll find a similar description. And we should recall that the Bhagavatam, it announced in the beginning this, really. But we're dealing with the infinite. So, Vedavyas could be forgiven for writing 9 other cantos. To bring you up to the point of having a proper understanding of the appearance of Krishna. That in itself tells you how deceptively simple and perhaps easily misunderstood it is. 9 cantos of prerequisite to come up to this moment. That in the very first sloka, Janmad yasya yaton vaya, Janmad. Guru Maharaj Janmad yasya yataha. Echoing and almost restating and explaining, or bearing the fruit of what was indicated in the Vedanta. As Guru Maharaj telling, the kalpaturu, nigama kalpaturor galita, The kalpataru, Vedas are like the kalpavriksha tree, right? And we can't fail to notice that we're told all the trees in Vrindavan are kalpavriksha. Right? I mean, they're all bearing that fruit. So, as I've mentioned, when you look at a tree, it's such a perfect example, because it's not just an example, it's like the metaphor and the reality are one. Right? There are the roots, the trunk, the branches. And branches, like they appear to be going in opposite direction. So you look at the Vedas and you go, well, this one's saying that, taking it this, and this one's going that way. That's superficial. Just like we have a mango tree right here. It has branches going this way, that way, but they all produce mangoes. So then it doesn't matter which way they're going. They exist for one purpose, which is to produce this fruit. That's what it means to be knower of the Vedas. Vedaishcha saravaya ahangeva Vedo. If you really know the Vedas, then you know me. If you know me, then you really know the Vedas. And if you think they have some other message, you don't get it, you don't understand Veda. Krishna, saying, I am what, and who is that Krishna? Who does not live in isolation. Means Radha Krishna, we have Nanda Yashoda, Vasudev, Devaki, like this. Vrindavan, the whole thing. So that Veda Kalpavriksha, then the flower, the floral essence, Vedanta, it says Janmashtami yataha, from which everything is coming, Janma, birth, etc. And what is the nature? The Bhagavatam begins with Janmashtami yataha, but then Janmadyasya yatonvayad itaratascha arteshu abhigya svarat tene brahma hridaya adi kavaye muhyanti yat suraya tejo varimadam yata vinimayo yatra trishargo mrisha damna svena sada nirastakukam satyam param dhimahi. Gurudev said, these type of slokas, he said, they're like the dancing of elephants. He said, like, you're astonished, it's a sight to behold, but you don't want to come too close. It's like, and should be, it's the first sloka of the Bhagavatam, it has to be like that. And he said, but when the same Vedavyas has the songs from the lotus lips of the braja-gopis, then it's like this very sweet, tavakatamritam tapta jivanam kavibir, like dancing. Iditam kalmashapaham sravana mangalam srimad-atatam bhuvi granantite burida jana. He said, then it's like the dancing of peacocks. Right? But necessarily so in the beginning, he's making a pronouncement. It's the Bhagavat Purana, the Mahapurana, Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Avalam, Prema Pumarto Mahan. It's going to reveal Krishna Prem, the greatest gift. Krishna Prem, love for Krishna. Right? So, so many things are being, and dharma projita kaita botra paramo nirmat saranam satam. The Paramahamsas, well, they're not interested in any other religion. We hear it sometimes called Paramahamsa-dharma. Gurudev liked that about, I think it was the Chaitanya Shikshamritam of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So in this Paramahamsa, like, what are they interested in? Right? Like, what sort of love do the braja-gopis have that they show a lack of interest in, Narayan and Vishnu? they're asking him, like, you're omniscient, do you know where Krishna is? It's Krishna playing a trick on them. Right? So the Aradhya Bhagavan Brajesha Tanayas Tadama Vrindavanam. Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur was saying. The Aradhya Bhagavan, the type of worship, Gurman said, invented by the Braja-gopis, there's nothing better than that. And it's only found in its purest and highest expression in Vrindavan. Brajesha Tanaya. The Braja Isha Tanu, that means Krishna. Tadava Ramya Kachid Braja-badu Bargena Jakalpita. There's that word, again, like imagined by them. If you want to talk about imagination. If it's the imagination of the Braja-gopis, it's the supreme reality. That type of imagination we're interested in. What they conceived. And what is their method? Like, to totally offer yourself for the pleasure of Krishna. That the way they dress, decorate themselves, is all for the pleasure of Krishna. So it's self-oblivion, not self-extinction or self-annihilation. To just be so lost in the other, to live for the other. Sometimes we hear of love, like that should be the qualification for genuine love, right? The total absence of self or ego to live. That is, celebrated, right? But not self-extinction, not self-annihilation. Self-oblivion is different, to be so wholly absorbed in the other, but to retain one's existence. Right? So these Braja-gopi girls, they've defeated Mayavad and all the other vads and all the other isms and the pure love that's come from their hearts. They've defeated Krishna, what to speak of others. Naparayam niravadya sambhujam. Krishna is saying, he said, I said in the Bhagavad Gita, ye yatam mam prapadyante tam sateva bhajamyaham, as you surrender to me, then I reciprocate that, and now I find I'm unable to do that. What am I going to do? I said in Bhagavad Gita, it's like a promise of reciprocity, and then I see the type of love that you have in your heart is so pure, so wonderful, and I'm so fortunate to be the object of that love, but I can't reciprocate it. And Krishna's saying, why? Because, he said one thing is, it's so hard to give up, like family and society and all these things. Like, I myself haven't given it up, but you did. But when Krishna says that, what does it mean? Like, who is the Achyuta Gotra? Who are the people that Krishna can? Is it some mundane kind of thing? No. Who he cannot give up, his family, are his devotees. Like Guru Maharaj would say when someone's being, initiated, and he'd say, "You're being welcomed into the family of Krishna." So it's a double entendre, or Krishna's saying, like, I can't give up this family of mine. I mean, those people like you who've given everything up for me, I can never give them up. It's an indirect way of him saying, I can never give you up. That's impossible. And there's similar things expressed in the pastimes of Mahaprabhu. But Guru Maharaj is saying that, but when he comes as Mahaprabhu, he's saying, so I can't reciprocate the kind of love that you have in your hearts. Let virtue be its own reward. The origin, perhaps, of that. But he's saying, but as Mahaprabhu, then he will come and tell everyone how great are Radharani and the Braja Gopis and the type of pure love and devotion that they possess. That's his, in a sense, if you want to call it, repayment. Then let me tell the world how great you all are. Right? That's in the Chaitanyastakam of Rupa Goswami. Sureshanam durgum gati atishaeno panishadam muninam sarvasam patalinam madhurima vinir yasha premno hi something pashu Chaitanya Deva Sri Chaitanya made Dashor Apri Dashor Yashati Padam. Then anyway, there he's saying, and the Braja Gopis, they're saying, when they see Krishna enveloped in the heart and halo of Srimati Radharani, that he's embraced in essence their position, they're very happy to see that. Nothing could make them happier than that they've conquered Krishna with their love and devotion, converted Krishna into a devotee. So that beginning there and saying, so the Kaitava Dharma, any religion, Narada told Vyas, it's not your fault, it's inadvertent, but people got the wrong idea with what you've done so far. And that included Mahabharata, which includes the Bhagavad Gita, and the Vedas, all of these books. He's saying they're using the religion that you gave as an excuse to remain bound in the material world. So you have to give them pure, straight Krishna conception and let them know the possibility that they have with a life of love with Krishna, right? Which will be expressed, including Madhura Rasa and the pastimes of Radharani and Braja Gopis. And really, it's saying there, remember, Narada told this to Vyas, Jukupsitam dharma kritenu shashana. This word jukupsidam means condemned. It's like very, like hard Sanskrit term. And so after that, what appears in the second verse? Dharma projita kaita botra. The very Vyas saying, cheating religion will not be found in the pages of this book. And it's almost as if he's alluding to things that he's written previously. Not that he delivered any kind of cheating, but people are, looking for loopholes and reading in between the lines and finding a way around how to escape offering yourself in service to Krishna. Really, it's there in the second verse. So that will not be found in the pages of this book. And what will this culminate in? Sarvadharmam parichajamami. Stop quoting dharma if you're using it as an excuse not to surrender to Krishna, basically. Sarvadharmam parichajamami. Ma may come. Krishna's saying, what are you doing? Like, who's before you? You're going to start talking about dharma and religion to me. Please. Give up all of that and just surrender to me. I make dharma in my sleep. When I breathe out, there's dharma. So don't come with some dharmic excuse for anything. Surrender to me. And how? Sarvadharman parichaja mam ekam Sharanam Vraja. And reverse it, Braja Sharanam, like those gopi girls. They crossed over Dharma a long time ago without hesitation. Right? And response, their hearts running to me, offering themselves to me. And Krishna, like you could say testing, teasing, but also ratcheting up the quality of heart by doing what? Refusing them. Sending them, saying, this is inappropriate. This is adharmic. Right? When Krishna's sounding his flute in the dead of night, Braja Gopis' hearts, like that we were talking the other day about when the Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Gopinatha-charya, Pratap-rudra Maharaj, they're seeing like all the devotees, they're going to Mahaprabhu, they're not bathing, they're not doing this, they're not going to Jagannath, they're all running to Mahaprabhu. And what are we told, what example is given? Is saying the heart is the charioteer and the body is the chariot. Where the heart goes, the body has to follow. So the Braja Gopis, without hesitation, and crossing over, Shruti Bir Brahmrigyam, all this Dharma and Vedic understanding, and just going to Krishna, and we're told they understand Veda, they really understand Dharma, all of that. Braja Sharanam is what Krishna is advising. Right? So, Ramya Kachid Braja-badu. Braja-badu means the Braja Gopis. Bhagena, their path. Don't get in their way. But you could be underneath. That is okay. Not to obstruct, but like Uddhava, Asama Ho Charanarenu, Brajalata, creeper, then consecrated by the dust of their holy lotus feet that are running towards Krishna, crossing over all this Dharma and everything. Right? So Vyas got the message from Narada. This book, not possible. Right? Dharma Projita Kaita Botra Parma Nirmat Saranam Satam and Nirmat Sarja. You cannot be envious of Radharani and Braja Gopis and understand Krishna conception. I mean, to spell it out. Right? Achyuta Priya. She is Achyuta Priya. Ko ba Bhagavata Dharma Nirupita Priya Paramahamsa-dharma Tadeva Hyachuta Priya. Achyuta Priya. Right? So he's saying that is the secret to Krishna conception, is not those who say they worship Krishna directly, but those who worship the devotee of Krishna. They're Krishna's real devotees. That's the message of Bhagavatam. So what did Guru Maharaj write when he was giving his Bhagavat sloka collection? Yadamya Mahima Sri Bhagavatam Katayam Pratipatam Anubhutam Apya Labdavideya Tadakila Rasamurti Shamalila Avalambam Madhura Rasadi Sri Radha Padapadmam Prapadye. How beautiful. I mean, who could do this in one sloka? It's inconceivable that someone could have that type of grasp of the whole, and then in one sloka, say, Mahima, Bhagavatam Katha. All this Bhagavad Katha, although ostensibly her name is not mentioned there, right? So holy, divine is her name, so confidential. He said, but at every step of the way is just meant to take us in one direction, the service of her holy lotus feet. Right? That means the Madhura Rasa pastimes of Krishna. Right? Achyuta Priya Nirmat Saranam Satam. Right? So not only to not be envious, but to sing the glories of Radharani and Braja Gopis. Yadi Gorna Hoita Tabiki Hoita Kamari Daritam Dehe Radhar Mahima Prema Rasasima Jagata Janatake. And who is a better canvasser or superior singer of the glories of Radharani and the Braja Gopis than Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Krishna himself converted into a devotee. when he wants to tell you about Krishna Leela, Vrindavan, how to gain entrance there, think about it, it's Krishna himself. We should follow his advice. And he's saying to follow the path of the Braja-gopis. And interestingly, if Maharaj may recall, at the Chaitanya Saraswat Mat, on this day, Guru Maharaj would have them reading the Chaitanya Charitamritam.
First chapter.
Yes. Right? So, then the Bible is saying, Nigama Kalpataru Galitam. So the Veda Kalpataru, the floral essence in the Vedanta, then now it's being expressed in the Bhagavatam. Galitam Palam. This fruit, Sukadeva Goswami is tasting and relishing this fruit. Shukamukadam Ritudavasamyutam. Pibata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam Muhuraho Rasika Bhuvibabukaha. So that Sukadev, then, we're telling 9 cantos. I used to wonder sometimes, I remember, I think when I saw Prabhupada, he published the Krishna book. And then when you'd read Krishna book, it would say, this is a summary study of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And it was kind of an answer to that wish, because, everything like, if these pastimes are expressed in the 10th canto, will we live that long, to read it? And Prabhupada mercifully took the 10th canto and in a summary form, which included his perfect way of that 9 cantos of backstory that you need to enter into this, it's included there. And then those 3-volume set of these pastimes of Krishna. But we hear in the beginning of the 10th canto that Sukadev and Parikshit Maharaj, some discussion about different dynasties and what descent, the Surya Bangsha from the sun, which Ramachandra, was the other one? Chandra Bangsha, the moon, and that's the one Krishna comes in, little reversal there, and saying all those certain pastimes were discussed previously. They did not culminate in Madhura. Right? So I'm eager to hear those pastimes that culminate in Madhura or Madhura Rasa, which necessarily means Radharani and Braja-gopis and Krishna. But again, interestingly, then even after 9 cantos, and we're told the whole Bhagavatam, 18,000 slokas, that still there'll be 29 chapters up to that point. And where will we begin? But with the birth of Krishna. And when mentioning the Krishna avatar in this section, this expression is used, Bhagavan Bhuta Bhavana. Right? So, Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur always comes to our rescue to extract the squeeze some nectarine juice from there, and he says, here, Bhuta, like Jiva Bhuta, Mahabahu, means the Jivas, and Bhavana, he chooses to emphasize the word Bhav. He said, it means Krishna Prem. He's saying, this avatar has descended to give the Jivas Krishna Prem. He gets to the point. You see, that's why this appearance is there. He wants to drown them in an ocean of Krishna Prem, Bhagavan Bhuta Bhavana. And so, of course, Parikshit Maharaj is very eager to hear these things. And to the question that, remember, 7 days fasting, no water, no solid food, no food, right? That, oh Maharaj, perhaps you are tired, or from all the fasting, and this verse is there, very beautiful. And we're told it's the verse that after Sukadev left home, and Vedas was heartbroken and searching for him, and we're told he taught this verse to some huntsmen in the forest, and to whatever, if they're trained by Vedas, Dandavats. But we're told from another point of view, maybe they're not fully understanding but he taught this song. You sing this, and so they're going, Nivrita Tarshar Upagiyamanad Bhavosha Datshrota Manobiramat Kautama Sloka Gunanuvadat Puman Virajeta Binapashugnat. So that when Sukadev would hear that, what? Say that again? That would capture him, sort of bring him back. So that verse is quoted, and it has the word Trishna, Tarshe, from Trishna, which means thirst. Right? And so this sloka is saying ostensibly that hearing the pastimes of Krishna will remove your thirst for the mundane. And in Vishwanath, he's saying, Parikshit Maharaj is saying, he's saying, Bhavoshida Shrota Manobiramat, that yes, hearing about Krishna, Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tatpataha. Krishna is saying in the Gita, the same thing. Tyaktva deham punar janma naitimam eti sorjana. Tells Arjuna, if you can hear, a Jopi-san Avya, that the unborn has pastimes of birth, that, who is beyond, the karmic activity, has karma, but his pastime, hearing about his so-called karma will liberate you from karma. Hearing about the birth of the unborn will liberate you from birth and death, all these things. So, Parikshit Maharaj is saying, it's the medicine. Bhava here means material existence. Bhava, like the Bhava Sindhu, means the ocean of suffering, basically, of the material existence. He's saying, by this, hearing about Krishna, is the medicine, oshud means medicine, that is the cure for materialism and our material condition. And he's saying, and interestingly, unlike normal medicine, and we all have this experience, when people give you some medicine and it's horrible, and they're telling you it's going to cure you, it's going to make you feel better, suffer a little bit now. They have some sayings about it, I can't think, but that it's just, you have to just tolerate, it's so horrible, but then you'll feel better later and it'll cure your condition. Parikshit Maharaj is saying, this is marvelous, and Shrotra Manobir, the Abhiram means beautiful. He's saying, hearing this, it's so beautiful and tasteful, and it's the medicine. So the cure is a sweet, beautiful thing. And he's saying, not only that, he said, if you think about it, how did I get into this predicament of, being cursed to die within 7 days? Was that I was overwhelmed by hunger and thirst. I mean, he's telling it this way, as if he were, and we're told momentarily, it was this was, how shall we say, uncharacteristic of Parikshit Maharaj, to be overwhelmed, and that's why the Brahmin who would not in the plea of being absorbed in meditation, ignored him and didn't attend to his needs, and he draped a snake around his neck. The son cursed him, So Parikshit Maharaj, the great devotees are always speaking like that, as though he was a mundane person saying, yes, and it was because I couldn't control my hunger and thirst that I'm in this situation now. It's actually because he's an eternally liberated associate of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that he finds himself in this situation. But for the benefit of the suffering humanity and the non-suffering section too, he's showing these pastimes. And so he's saying, I'm drinking this nectarine substance, hunger and thirst, being tired. I'm more enlivened. I'm unimaginably enlivened. And he goes so far as to say, who wouldn't be except for the pashugnat, which means either one of two things. People who are committing spiritual suicide, or when he says, it's variously translated as butchers, but he means you're butchering yourself, or those who were doing animal sacrifices for elevation to the heavenly planets. He's saying, are they any better than butchers? Right? They think they're going to achieve a position of enjoyment by this. How unfortunate they are. And that so-called animal sacrifice, butchery. It's amazing. He's so sweet on the one hand and so cutting on the other hand. Cutting through those knots that are keeping us bound and tied when necessary with this language. So that's one sloka. And that's the sloka that Vyas trained those huntsmen, right, to capture the attention of Sukadev, who, by way of introduction, when he enters that assembly, Parikshit Maharaj and all the leading representatives of all the different traditions are there giving advice. Like we see sometimes from the other traditions. And I tell you, sincerely, someone's telling what they think they've learned. Like the gentleman about happiness and suffering of this world, telling that. But I reminded him, his very name was Anand. So I said, everyone is searching for Anandam, and we're so fortunate Anandam has come to us today. So it's all right. They're all telling, but Guru Maharaj is saying, Parikshit Maharaj, 7 days I've got, and what you're all advising, you could dedicate your whole life to that. And I'm sure make some spiritual progress up to a point. He's saying, but what I would like from you is get together, give your unanimous verdict. I'm running out of time. And it's at that moment when the beautiful Sukadev Goswami comes upon the scene, and just seeing his beauty and radiance. And they said they were expert in the art of physiognomy. So even before he opened his mouth, they could recognize they're in the presence of a Mahapurush. Right? And he was also legendary. 16 years in the womb of his mother, came out as a liberated soul. So what he will be telling them is not what he was helpful for him to overcome the mundane. They're all giving advice along those lines. He was never under the influence of the mundane. That's why he's universally accepted as being in the superior position, and he's the legendary Sukadeva Goswami, Vyasa Putra, and this, that, and the other thing. And necessarily so, Guru Maharaj said, why someone of his stature is the loudspeaker of the Bhagavatam. Because he's got the street cred amongst the sages, like, oh, all right, if Sukadeva says it, we can believe it. Right? We'll accept it. Right? And that's Sukadeva, whom the Dibya Devis bathing naked in the pond did not bother to cover themselves because they didn't see even the trace amount of male gaze in the vision of Sukadeva. Right? So when he says, by way of introduction, Parinistitopi Nayargunye Uttama-shloka Lilaya Grihita Cheta Rajarse Akyanam Yadaditavan, that you all know I'm situated in the Nirguna plane, beyond, Trigunatita, beyond the three modes of nature. Right? He was already Brahmavadi by reputation, you can say. He's saying, so situated in the Nirguna plane, then I heard this Uttama-shloka, the slokas, which are live stream reality about the beautiful pastimes of Krishna and the braja-gopis, and I was carried away to a world, enveloped in a world that I didn't know existed previously. So coming from that person, they can embrace this Krishna conception. So, Parikshit Maharaj saying, what you're telling me about Krishna is so nourishing. Like it says, Majtita Madgata Prana Borayantas Parasparam Katayan Chastamam Nityam Tushyanti Cha Ramanti Cha. It's as if the devotees, by speaking about Krishna and hearing about Krishna, that they're feasting on this divine subject matter. So Parikshit Maharaj, he wants to know, how is it that Krishna, the unborn, appeared in this world? And Sukadeva is telling him, you could say, about the time that really the earth was overburdened by the influence of demonic kings. We're told in Bhagavad Gita, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bhartana abhutanama dharmasya tadat manam sridhamyaham. When irreligion is more or less, when religion becomes so modified beyond recognition as to become irreligion, at that time he manifests himself. And also what? Paritranaya sadhunam binashaya chaduskritam. Dharma sangsta punartaya sambhavami juge juge. To reestablish religion and to protect his devotees and to annihilate the opposition to his devotees. So he's telling that on the the wedding of Vasudev and Devaki, it's a very happy time, right? In Mathura, and Kamsa, who's the brother of Devaki, he very, gallantly, generously, like, why don't I drive the happy couple home in my nice chariot? And but remember, just like the people who read the 9 cantos up to this point, everyone's very eager for Krishna to appear, as are the demigods and others. And they don't want any delay. They want this to happen as soon as, not humanly possible, but human-likely possible, divinely possible. So, in various ways, and Yogamaya and Baladev, scripting, casting Krishna Lila, they're also increasing the drama, the intensity. So, while Kamsa is happily driving Vasudev and Devaki, a voice comes from the sky saying, Kamsa, you fool, don't you know? The 8th son of Devaki will kill you. And you're giving them a ride on their wedding night? Yeah. But you didn't say the 8th son, just said the 8th child. That should be, the record should be corrected. The 8th child. It didn't indicate whether that would be a boy or a girl. But the 8th offspring. And Kamsa's response, being the demon he is, without hesitation, he grabs Devaki by the hair, pulls out a sword. He had the reins in his hand. He's going, he grabs her by the hair, drops the rein, he pulls out his sword. He's ready to kill her on the spot. There wasn't like a lot of thinking involved. That's the situation. And Vasudev, he's the thoughtful one. And his own auspicious birth. One of his names is Anaka Dundubi. Dundubi is a kind of drum. And there was these very auspicious drums at the moment of his birth, indicating a very auspicious future for him as well. And he's thinking, I have to save Devaki's life. And they're saying, the way to do that is with your body or your intelligence. And he's saying, well, this is an instance where body, that's not going to work, so I'll have to use my intelligence. And he's saying, maybe if I preach to Kamsa, so some, Atma Gyan, Atma Tattva, that he'll come to his senses. He starts telling him, everyone has to die. We're all going to die. There's nothing we can really do to prevent that. And it will only come, and for one who's born, death is certain, but for one who dies, another birth is also certain. And he's giving examples. He's saying, just like you put one foot in front of the other, and so another body, and then he realized, maybe a better example is the worm on the leaf. They're on one leaf, and then when they touch the next leaf, when they're firmly established on the next leaf, then they pick up from the last leaf. So there's some indication there that actually, when your next body is ready, that's when you die. Not that you die and then you get another body. The next body, when it's more or less ready, then you'll leave this body and enter that one. And how much time that takes, that's another thing. But so many things are discussed there. So he's telling him about this. And, in life, happiness, he's giving him some basic preaching about the soul, life, existence, eternality, mortality, that sooner or later we all have to go. We don't know when that will be. And hearing these spiritual instructions, at least he listened, but it didn't really, Kamsa was not really accepting these. So then Vasudev thought, all right, I've got to develop another strategy. And thinking about Devaki, and just, if I can just somehow get him to like, leave her alone, let her be, let her live. And finally settles upon saying, well, Devaki is not a threat to you. The voice in the sky didn't say that Devaki would kill you. Said her eighth child would. So she's not a threat. And I promise you, those 8 children, when one is born, I'll bring them to you. And you decide what to do. And that gets through to Kamsa. He's saying, all right, well, that's true. She's not the one. And if I kill her, that's on her wedding night, that really looks bad. You know. And then people, they won't like me. And they'll realize, like, I'm not a nice guy. And I'll have a bad reputation. You can't kill my sister on her wedding night. That's So he's saying, this proposal of Vasudev is acceptable to me. And then we're told that a son is born. Kamsa presents the child, Vasudev presents the child to Kamsa, and Kamsa is thinking like, oh, cute little kid. All right, you go, no problem there. First child was told the 8th, all right, But those who have been following up to this point, they're saying like, then what if this delays the appearance of Krishna? We've got to do something about this. Narada. So Narada comes, Kamsa, do you realize, I don't know if you were aware of this, but in your last life, and it was Kalanemi, you were killed by Vishnu. He's coming again, and he's going to kill you. What? And who knows when, they said, but you know how these divine things go, you never know. Then Kamsa, this sounds really cruel. Only the devotees will understand. And even they may not, all the devotees. It depends on their level of devotion. Right? Then Kamsa asks Vasudev, bring back that child and kill him. But if you're at all familiar with Puranic text, then you'll find that there's some backstory about the 6 Ashwini Kumars, and they had to overcome them. So this is actually a boon for them, liberating them from some past unfortunate situation. The first 6. So one after another they're brought, and they're being murdered by Kamsa. Right? Until the 7th appears, right? Who is, as we told you, Balaram, Anantadev, Anantashesh, who's really Rohini-nandan, as we sing in the song. And since Kamsa was out to get Vasudev and Devaki, the other wives of Vasudev, perhaps 6, 7 in number or so, they're in hiding. So Rohini's in Vrindavan. She's a wife of Vasudev. And so Ananta appears, and as he always does, to give the foundation for the appearance of Krishna. It's just so perfect. And to also make everything extra nice and special. He's the asan, the Shringasan, And Yogamaya, under the order of Krishna, transfers Anantashesh from the womb of Devaki to Rohini and Vrindavan, and it appears as though Devaki has suffered from miscarriage. So everyone is very sad about that. But then the 8th child appears. But we're told, sometimes we don't always hear like Shatvam Vishudham Vasudeva Shabditam, famous sloka from Shiva. That Vasudev is the condition in which Krishna appears. Right? I mean, it's besides being an actual person. And Krishna, then known as Vasudev, 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 Vasudev. Vasudev Sarvamiti Samahatma Suduravaha. So we told in the beginning that Guru Maharaj said, he heard from the devotees, Krishna will be appearing in the heart of the devotees. So he is outside Saraswati Thakur. How beautiful Guru Maharaj is, and how beautiful is the heart of Guru Maharaj, and the Krishna who appears in the heart of Guru Maharaj, and the Mahaprabhu and Radharani. But so Vasudeva, we're told, Krishna appears in the heart of Vasudev. This is how he appears. Right? Tene Brahma Hrida. You could say there was a hint in the beginning of the Bhagavatam. The heart-to-heart transaction. Okay. And then we're told, it's very beautiful, and says, just the way, like this is the east, and sometimes we'll see it. The moon appears in the east, especially when it's a big, bright, beautiful full moon, you know. And even though this is Astami, 8th day of waning moon, that when the moon did appear, it became a full moon. I mean, it couldn't be otherwise. But I always like to think, because Radhastami and other Astami, what Guru was saying, and then if you put 2 Astamis, makes a Purnima, so he'd say Krishnastami, Radhastami, together as Mahaprabhu, Gaur Purnima. But anyway, so then Krishna, Vasudev, like how exalted a soul. Now the personality of Godhead is like appeared in his heart. And then we're told, transferred from Vasudev to the heart womb of Devaki. And said, and what does it appear like? Just the way the sun, that moon rises in the eastern horizon. And so Devaki, in this condition, you know, she is so beautiful and so radiant that even Kamsa can see. Because normally we think, you can't, when we'll say, like Vasudev was, they say, he was hard to look at for some people. Whoa, you know, like, so brilliant and illuminating him. Not for the devotees. Hiranmayena Patrena Satyashapi. But Devaki, she, like Kamsa's noticing, remember he's somewhat obsessed, and he sees suddenly like she's extra beautiful and radiant and shining, and he folds it and he's thinking like, it's happened. Even he knows it. You know? And, but they're the Bengalis, I don't know if you know, but they have this saying, I wish Gopal was here. It's become a saying in Bengal when they're predicting an unpleasant outcome for someone, they'll say, you know, your enemy has already been born in Gokul. You know, the person who will finish you is already born in Gokul. You know,
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but it's like a saying in Bengal. But anyway, so she's getting more and more effulgent, like the demigods are coming. And while Krishna's within the womb of Devaki, they're offering all these prayers, extraordinary prayers. They're so beautiful. From Brahma, Shiva, and all the others. And just incidentally, so when they finally finished with the prayers and they were leaving, so that other demigods, they made like Shiva and Brahma go in the front, they were afraid they were going to miss something. Like Brahma and Shiva are going to see things that we don't get to see. You know? So there's like a childlike simplicity, as exalted as they are, their level of purity and, you know, simple-hearted Vaishnavas. But there's this one prayer, and I just think it's worth mentioning. The one, Satyam Satyasya, it uses the word Satya many, many times. And I should say it because Srila Guru Maharaj accompanied Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur on an evening program once. Like when people go to some, you know, house program, what's commonly called now like Namhata. But for some reason, it was only Srila Saraswati Thakur and Guru Maharaj. And Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur spoke on this verse, and Guru Maharaj said the explanation was so extraordinary that he found himself in a dilemma. And the dilemma was that, he said, it's so extraordinary, the flow that's coming from Srila Saraswati Thakur, and Guru Maharaj didn't have a pen or a pencil or anything. And normally when Saraswati Thakur would speak, 3 people would take notes. And they'd be like, Sanyal, Sundarananda Vidya Vinod, and a third. You know. And then they would compare notes at the end. That's how they would do the transcription. So Guru Maharaj is saying, like, I got to get some paper and write this down. This is the most extraordinary thing I've ever heard. And then he thought, but if I leave, I'm going to miss something. Like those demigods, thinking they're going to miss something. So Guru Maharaj is saying, what to do, you know. And he couldn't tear himself away from the lotus feet of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Then afterwards, yeah, I'll just read the sloka for those who are in restless anticipation. And listen to how many times you will hear the word Satya. Satya vratam satya param trisatyam satyasya yonim nihitam cha satye satyasya satyam rita satya netram satyatmakam tvam sharanam prapana. It's so beautiful. We can't, you know, I'll read it because it's that. The demigods pray, Lord, you never deviate from your vow, Satya-vratam, which is always perfect, because whatever you decide is perfectly correct and cannot be stopped by anyone. Being present in the free phase of the cosmic manifestation, maintenance and annihilation, you are the supreme truth. Right? That was the Tri-Satyam. Then, indeed, unless one is completely truthful, one cannot achieve your favor. That's another thing. Like Guru Maharaj is saying, I took a vow, from this day forward, I will always and only speak the truth. And the world became like a ball of clay in my hand. Right. That's Guru Maharaj speaking. Because one cannot achieve your favor, which therefore you cannot be achieved by hypocrites. You are the active principle, the real truth, and all the ingredients of the creation. And therefore you are known as Antarjami, the inner force. You are equal to everyone, and your instructions apply for everyone, for all time. You are the beginning of all truth. Therefore, offering our obeisances, we surrender unto you. Kindly give us protection. So anyway, after the talk, Saraswati Thakur said to Guru Maharaj, did you record that? You know, And Guru Maharaj said, explained the situation, like, I was torn between, should I stay or go? And Saraswati Thakur said, then you are a Gobar Ganesh. Means a Ganesh is supposed to record everything that Vyasa is saying, but Gobar Ganesh means a Ganesh made out of cow dung, means you're useless. So Guru Maharaj is telling a story where he's being chastised by his Guru Maharaj, and we're dancing. That's how sweet it is. So he said, then you are Gobar Ganesh. And then he said, you wanted to remember that. He goes, I want to hear it again. What was flowing through me, I would like to hear that again. That kind of thing. In the audience for Sukadev is Veda Vyasa and Narada. Guru Maharaj said, they want to hear, Narada, what I gave to you, you can, let's hear. It will come out of him with some new color. His Guru and Param Guru are sitting in the audience listening, and with restless anticipation. So those demigods, they're offering all these prayers to the supremely effulgent Devaki while Krishna is in the womb of his mother. And other verse that just stands out. Yenye aravindaksha vimukta tvayasta bhabad avishuddha buddhaya. Prabhupada liked this verse very much. Aruhya krichena param padam tatak pato tanti anadrita jasmaid angraya. That others, they may through yogic process, gyan, performing penances, austerities, elevate themselves even to the parampadam. We should know, the outskirts of the spiritual world. Right? And then what happens? Pato adho anadrita jasma patanti adha means again they fall down into this world. Why? Anadrita jasmaid angrai, because they did not worship your holy lotus feet. And the dear servitors of your holy lotus feet, who we said in the beginning of the Bhagavatam, you cannot ignore the devotees and enter the spiritual world. And not only you'll be held in some holding tank, viroja or such, but again, they'll fall down to this world. Because inevitably, we will search for anandam. You may say, no, it's the search for happiness and that's cause of suffering in this world. You need to, yes, nivrittatarshaya upagiyamana. But the only known method really is, ka uttama shloka lila. The uttama shloka of Krishna, that will end this thirst for the mundane. Otherwise, no, again you'll come down. Prabhupada must have quoted that verse 100 times. Right? And then he'd say, and they become involved in humanitarian, altruism. But why? Anadrit, they do not glorify, worship the lotus feet of Krishna. It's one of the faults of Gyan, pointed out by Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur. Saying, Gyanis, they meditate, they do all these things, yogis, they do, and what? What is it that they don't do? Kirtan. They don't glorify the Lord and His devotees, which brings joy to Him to hear the glories of His devotees. So all these other things, without that, without Shravanam, Kirtanam, etc., what is that famous? Aradito yadi hares tapasha tatatkyam, naradito yadi hares tapasha tatatkyam. You see the aradito yadi, saying, if your tapasya, your austerity, whatever it is you're doing, doesn't culminate in, interesting, it says aradita, we'll say, praise of Radharani and her servitors, but in the Krishna, your Krishna bhajan, in praise of Krishna, said, then what is the use of your austerities? If they don't culminate in the praise of Krishna, Krishna Kirtana, Gana, Nartana, what are they doing? Those Gopi Bhava Goswamis, Krishna Kirtana, they're always doing that. Right? So I'm saying, then what is the use of your austerities? And then it flips it and says, and if you're engaged in the worship of Krishna, then what are the use of these austerities? It's the purpose of them. So, that's so beautifully expressed there. I mean, it must be of significance. It is right prior to the third chapter, which will talk about the appearance of Krishna. So then, from the heart of Vasudev to the heart of Devaki. Same thing. Tene Brahma Hirda, and Srila Gurudev is saying, they're saying Krishna will be appearing in the hearts of his devotees at midnight on Wednesday. On Wednesday evening. Hare Krishna, Sri Krishna Janmashtami Mahamahotsavatiti Ki Jaya. And if there are any doubts that remain, I turn to Srila Bhakti Ranjan Madhusudan Maharaja to say
I can't think why.
Well, Madhusudana.
Oh, okay. We can.
Ajitasha said that the other day.
She did, I know, but now but that Madhusudan.
Hare Krishna.
Well, Maharaj.
And just a note before you do, that we are going to reassemble here for a midnight arati, but at around like 11:30 or so, do some singing, 45-ish, singing, and then have an arati at midnight.
Well, first of all, we've had the luxury of an unrestricted discourse from Maharaj this evening without any, this is going to be a 1-hour talk, etc. And we are here hearing Maharaj, very happily. And simply, I can just, well, first of all, Maharaj said, do you have any doubts? Any questions from anybody? They don't have any doubts, Maharaj. All is settled.
All right, but then, unlike the Gyanis, he will now glorify Krishna. Krishna Kirtanam.
Well, at least, Maharaj, I can say how Krishna has come because he's come to show us his land, his leela, his pastimes. And Maharaj is giving the descriptions of the why and the how, and so many things. And at the end of the day, he's coming to show us the beauty of complete self-surrender. Complete self-surrender which is automatic. The development of the surrender becomes so sweet and so harmonious that it reaches a stage where it's not calculated, it's not put down that, do this, but it is coming from the heart. And so Krishna is showing that land, which otherwise we'll kind of get some idea of, it must be wonderful to be fully surrendered. And any hint we have in our life of when we may have thought, here we are, we're fully self-surrendered, we get a little feel, it's, really some home comfort feel, if you like. But Krishna is showing what is this in the ultimate mood, feeling, reciprocation. It's the land of Goloka Vrindavan.
And just to add, because you may be thinking that what Maharaj is saying is so true, because this one thought didn't finish, about Garga Sangita, whereas when Krishna lets it be known about this time to descend for Krishna Lila, that we're told Radharani, because this question comes up, Goloka, Gokula, which one's the original, which one's the satellite, and we bow our head. All these great acharjas can give different angles of vision. But in the line of Guru Maharaj, Saraswati Thakur, Jiva Goswami, that goes in this direction about Gokula being the original and leaving an extension, Goloka. That's inconceivable. But we're told, as evidentiary support in Garga Sangita, that when Krishna's consulting his beloved, about these pastimes, that Radharani only agrees that, she said, then we have to bring all of this. Vrindavan, not a replica, not a likeness, an extension, but the original. We have to bring this Jamuna, this Vrindavan, this must come with us. I can't, because Guru Maharaj was saying, they're inseparable from their paraphernalia.
And Govardhan Hill.
Yes, Govardhan and Radha Kunda, the whole thing. And then there's sort of a dramatic pause, and then Radharani says, I'm telling you, she says it a second time, that I'm not going unless you bring all of this, the original, with us to this world. So what Maharaj said is exactly true. He's come to reveal his land, his abode, his dham.
And on this particular Kali Yuga, or at the beginning, the transition to the Kali Yuga, this time it's from Dwapara Yuga to Kali Yuga.
Yeah.
But at this particular time, it is once in one day of Lord Brahma, which is a very long time, that the original Krishna, avatari Krishna, comes to this world. So not only we've got the Krishna Leela in front of us, but we've got the source of avatars, source of all avatars, Krishna coming. In other times at the beginning of the Kali Yuga, it is the avatar of Krishna which is coming, because Krishna, he can do everything, and he also comes as an avatar. So it's also a very special time in that regard. And then, as Maharaj indicated, that Krishna's Leela is coming, but we can't mention about Krishna and Krishna consciousness and understanding Krishna Leela and the depth of it without mentioning Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taking on that greatest mood, the heart and halo of Srimati Radharani, and showing tasting for himself, searching that she is tasting. But he as avatari, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, original Gauranga, this is the time when the original Gauranga has come here, and he's come to distribute Vrindavan Leela to everybody, including the fallen souls, which is very good news for us all.
Yeah.
So now it is auspicious time. We're always trying to remind ourselves we really should take the opportunity to be good devotees as best we can. When we hope no one's going to put up the hand and say, yes, I'm a perfect devotee, I've got no faults and everything. And I mean, very good if you do. I mean, that's great. But I mean, generally,
they'll be removed from the assembly.
We've got to be honest. And so, I mean, for the fallen souls, it is a wonderful time. And Maharaj just mentioned now about Gokula and Goloka, and how you mentioned Jiva Goswami and said that Gokula is original.
Yeah.
An interesting thing, one difference we know, because they are the same but different, but one difference we know between Gokula and Goloka is that there are demons in Gokula.
Yeah.
And there's only the rumor
more dramatic.
There's rumor of demons in Goloka, that the demons can't actually enter there. So things like this. But we've got this idea that in Gokul there are demons. It is showing in this mundane world, as it were. Even that time, of course, everything gets transferred, but there are actual fights, and all these things are taking place. But also you see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela. There are demons in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela. But instead of chopping off their head with his hand, etc., or chakra, or hand in the case of the washerman.
Oh yes, yeah.
But instead of that, then Mahaprabhu is coming to deliver the demons. And also in Krishna Leela, when the demons are delivered, they're merging into the Lord's body, or some like general liberation, which is also, of course, getting Sarupya, coming out from this world. But Mahaprabhu is giving the highest kind of liberation, which is love of God, which only comes by developing that surrender, appreciation of the Supreme Lord and the Jiva's relationship. And so Mahaprabhu, again, avatari Mahaprabhu, himself, like the origin of all, of everything, coming to distribute to the fallen souls this treasure. And his wish is that in every town and village, his name will be chanted, Krishna's name will be chanted. And so this is taking place, and here you are as evidence, and I am trying to do it, but you are as evidence, chanting the name of the Lord. So we are very few in number, if you take the percentage-wise, but let us take it to heart. Let us try to really make this opportunity, because to be Krishna conscious, we need to remember Krishna. This is his appearance day today. It's tonight it's going to be. We are in the night already. It's his appearance time. Yeah. And so, as on everybody's birthday, as it is the tradition at the moment, then we are remembering that person more and more that day. So we are meant to be conscious of Krishna. So today is a very good day to try to make ourselves reinforced in our Krishna consciousness. So some reflections like this. And as always, we are stressing, not only we've read the book, heard the book, read something, but we have the connection of the devotees, the connection of the current which is coming down. And our masters here, the large pictures here of Guru Maharaj and Gurudev are not only pictures, they are here to remind us that they're seeing us all the time, everywhere. So we must try to make ourselves proper receptacles for their grace by trying to glorify the Lord, the devotees, and the practitioner devotees everywhere. Srila Gurudev discussed and dictated some rules of the temple, and Gurudev, and that was based on his relationship with Guru Maharaj. But he updated it for the Western devotees coming. He mentioned the time when the Western devotees will gather on the Samadhi Mandir of Srila Guru Maharaj, etc. But there, Srila Gurudev is mentioning about all devotees, every devotee and newcomers coming to the mat. Every member of the mat will give respect to the devotees and give affection to newcomers and guests coming to the temple, so that they will be at home and they will get some guidance in the line of our masters. So it is not only that we're going to look to the older devotees or the senior devotees, the more capable devotees. Yes, certainly we're giving special understanding, respect there, but to all devotees we have to appreciate each other. And as a team, always as a team, then we are making the community, the ashrams, the temples, and sankirtan, congregational glorification of the Lord, with new, with old, all in appreciation. And we're all connected through this current and getting inspiration from those who can teach us very nicely the whole understanding, who've got the affection, who've got, again, heart to heart to heart, coming all the way down to our present age. And it is very wonderful that we can hear these topics very authoritatively. We have sat with Guru Maharaj, with Gurudev. We are sitting here with Srila Goswami Maharaj, who's presenting very carefully and accurately their teachings. And Gurudev and Guru Maharaj must be appreciating this, and he's able to do this by having their blessings, by having their grace. And Maharaj, really it is our joy, spiritual joy, to be able to hear such topics unrestrictedly.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. I think I'll sing one song and then break.
Maharaj, yes. Yes. And the devotees, you all are so patient and still in your, not shuffling around, you're giving attention all the way through.
I know.
Maharaj,
I'm
your credit.
And like Maharaj said, it just made me think, so what he said, there was a time, I mean, as inconceivable as it is, that new person, as we told this evening, was Guru Maharaj.
Yes.
So now I can understand, when Guru Maharaj would tell us why he revered even a newcomer, and really did, he said, because if we believe and what we say is true, and now this person is manifesting appreciation for that. He said, God willing, they may surpass me someday. I want to be in a position to receive their blessings. So that person who shooed away Guru Maharaj, I'll just say for the sake of I can guarantee that Guru Maharaj surpassed him. Right? I can say that with the highest level of confidence. And so Guru Maharaj would be in a position to bless him later. So that, just to underscore what he's saying, so when someone connects with us, we do consider them special. Right? Because if it's everything we say that it is, and they're now expressing appreciation for that, like Kaviraj Goswami, when it sounds inconceivable, but when he's saying like, he's taking the dust from the feet of his readers. And you go, why? Because he knows what, and he means readers, but those who are getting what's being given. And because he knows if they appreciate this, there's only a certain kind of person who genuinely appreciates this substance. And they're described in the beginning, Muhuraho Rasika Bhuvi Bhavukaha. Bhavu, he knows, those readers who are appreciating this, I take the dust from their feet. Right? It's not some kind of an arrogant, self-serving assertion, but really so. No. Yasomati-nandana braja-baro-nagara Gokula Ranjana Kana. Yasomati-nandana braja-baro-nagara Gokula. Little faster. Yasomati-nandana braja-baro-nagara Gokula Ranjana Kana. Yasomati-nandana
Govinda
Tara Gopi Vasanohara
Yamuna Tata Chara Gopi Vasanohara
Raso Rasika Kripa Moya
Rasa Rasika Kripa Moya
Raso Rasika Kripa Moya
Rasa Rasika Kripa Moya
Shri Radha Vallabha Vrindavana Natavara
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 Bhakti Vinodasraya
Bhakti Vinodasaya
Bhakti Vinodasraya
Bhakti Vinodasaya
Yasomati-nandana braja-baro-nagara gokula Ranjana
Yasomati-nandana braja-baro-nagara gokula Ranjana
Amala Harinamami Avirata
Amala Harinamami Avilasa
Govinda Madhava Navanita Dasara
Govinda Madhava Navanita Dasara
Shri Radha Vallabha Vrindavana Natavara
Shri Radha Vallabha Vrindavana Natavara
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Jai Gaur Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Gaur Hari Bo
Jai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol
Jai Gaur Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Gaur Hari Bo
Jai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Gaur Hari
Jai Shri Krishna Janmashtami Tithi Ki Jai
Jai.
Shri Krishna Janmashtami Avirbhav Mahamahotsav Tithi Ki
Jai
Yasoda-nandan Krishna Ki Jai Devaki-nandan Krishna Ki Jai Vasudev-nandan Krishna Ki Jai Nanda-nandan Krishna Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Mathura Dham Ki Jai Jai Saparikar Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharva Govinda Sundar View Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Acharya Satar Satya Shri Srimad Srila Bhakti Sudhir Govinda Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai Shri Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai Shri Rup Sanatan Bhatu Raghunath Shri Deva Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath Sad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai Shri Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Mathura Dham Ki Jai Navadip Dham Ki Jai Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat ki jai, Sri Gupta Govardhan ki jai, Ganga Devi, Jamuna Devi, Bhakti Devi, Tulsi Devi ki jai. Om Vishnupad Vishvavarenya Srilesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Madhacharya Vrinda ki jai. Jai Srila Bhakti Ranjan Madhusudan Maharaja ki jai. Jai Srila Bhakti Vimala Maharaj ki jai. Jai Srimad Paramahamsa-dharma Prabhu ki jai. Jai Sri Bhakti Lalita Devi Dasi ki jai. Seva Vrinda ki jai. Samaveda Bhakti Vrinda ki jai. Sri Krishna Janmashtami Mahamahotsavatiti ki jai. Nitai Go Premanande.
Jai Srila Bhakti Sudhir Goswami Maharaja ki jai. Nitai Go Premanande. Hari Hari Bo.